Good afternoon, everybody. How you doing? This is your coach, Coach Renz, and let me be your guide today in helping you to break free from the traditions that you've been holding on to. But more than that, break free from the captivity that you've been holding on to, that you've been stuck in, that you've been in prison, and not in prison because you chose it initially on your own, but because somebody chose it for you. Today, I want to begin the process of helping a lot of people simply break free. Simply be able to find your purpose, your definitive, defined purpose in life. And there are two simple things that you have to do in order to be able to find your purpose in life. And although I will say that these things are simple, they will be hard for you to, one, digest, and two, to fully embody in your mind, your spirit, and your body, your soul. It will be something that will take some time to develop. You see, for me, it's something that I began to develop at the age of 9. And in all honesty, it took me till I was 21 for me to truly begin to break free. And then from 21 till about 35 before I came into the fullness of it. But then at 35, I just waited. I was waiting because at 35, I knew that there was going to be a time, that a time was coming. And that really I put December 2012 as the time of the upheaval, of the change, of the transition that was going to occur. And I used to tell people that right now I'm demonized, but give me to about 2012, and after that time frame, you're going to start seeing the transition of people who are realizing that they have been imprisoned in their mind. Not just the idea of all the movies that have told you that, but just by living life, you started to realize that you've been imprisoned in your mind. And today, even though I've been doing other videos, but today is the day that I will truly start to help people to break free, to be able to find their definiteness of purpose, to be able to escape the prison of their mind and the prison of their heart. But more importantly, to escape a prison that has kept you from being able to truly fulfill your destiny and find your purpose. I listen to so many videos and people, I see so many comments of people trying to say, I just want to figure out what my purpose is. I need to know what my purpose is. Is it my purpose to teach? Is it my purpose to help people? Is it my purpose to help women? Is it my purpose to do whatever? And we're always trying to find some outward activity that is our purpose. But I'm telling you that your purpose first must start from within. That if you don't fulfill this first thing, you will not be able to even begin to scratch the surface of figuring out your purpose. And this is something that I realized a long time ago by studying people who are successful in life. Not just financially successful, but people who are successful in one aspect of their life. And everybody who's had financial gain, who had relationship gain, who have notoriety, those who have found true success embody this first principle in order for you to find your definiteness of purpose and to know exactly where your life is supposed to be headed. And what is that? That is to do what makes you happy. Yeah, that's number one. I know it may sound a little selfish. It may hurt some of your sensibilities because it may sound like do whatever you like doing that makes you happy. But understand that if you are not happy, then how can anyone else around you be happy? If you are not happy and you go and open a women's center, then how can the women in that center truly receive the best opportunity, the best information, the best guidance, the best resources if you are not happy with yourself? I can tell you so many times, people want me to coach them in business, to coach them in health, to coach them in so many other ways. But when I realize that they are not happy individuals themselves, it doesn't matter what business they start, they're still not going to be successful. Doesn't matter how much money they make, they still will not be successful. They can get married and they still will not be successful because they are not doing what makes them happy. They have not figured out how to make their internal selves happy. And until you figure out how to make yourself happy, then you can't really fulfill your true destiny. You can't really fulfill your true purpose. I want you to think about this for a second. That if what makes you happy, like if what you're doing right now, sorry, misspoke, but if what you're doing right now is not bringing you joy and happiness, then how effective are you? Are you truly at your best? Are you truly like going out 100% at that thing? If you're not happy with what you're doing, then you're not giving your best. You may be giving more than other people in the office. You may be giving more than other people in the gym. You may be giving more than other people in your family. You may be giving more than other people in your romantic relationship. But if you are not happy, you're not giving your best. Your best is still yet to come because you're still not giving your best. You can't. It is an impossibility. Now, I will go ahead and say that there is one thing that you must understand before you start going out and doing whatever it is that makes you happy. If your happiness infringes on the rights of other people, if it hurts other people, then that is not your happiness. That is your selfishness. That is your ego mind or your vanity mind that is taking over. If you being happy means killing someone else, then you have a mental problem, to be honest. If it means stealing from other people, then you have a deeper issue that needs to be settled. So recognize that whatever makes you happy has to be something that doesn't interfere with the happiness of someone else. Now, I know that if you're in a relationship, yeah, that relationship may not be making you happy and you may have to leave that relationship and that will hurt the other person. But in the long run, you will be doing that person a favor. You will be doing them a great service by letting them be free to find their true happiness. And you will be free to find yours. So although some people may get hurt emotionally a little bit like that, but if what makes you happy is to stay in a relationship and then you're abusive, if you find that being abusive to someone is your happiness, then you have a mental issue that needs to be taken care of, a deeper issue where maybe you didn't receive love, maybe you have a trust issue, maybe you have abandonment issues, maybe there are many issues that you have that needs to be taken care of in order for you to actually function as a person who is in a happy relationship, because you're infringing on someone else's relationship. You're infringing on somebody else's ability to be happy. You're hurting physically someone else. So understand that your happiness cannot infringe upon the happiness and the rights of other people to pursue happiness. There are many things that in America documents have said, but one of the things that I believe that everyone has the inalienable right of life, liberty, and the pursuit of happiness. So what are some of the things that we need to start looking at to figure out what makes us happy and what doesn't? Well, one of those things is to stop trying to please other people. See, too many of y'all out there trying to please other people, trying to do what you feel like is going to gain the approval of other people. I understand. Many of us want other people to approve of our lifestyle. We want people to approve of our look. We want people to approve of the activities, our job. We want people to say, oh, that's a great job. You know, you have this title. We want people's approval. So we may do things that won't necessarily make us happy, but we're gaining the approval of other people. You see, a long time ago, I became an IT guy. I became an IT guy because my family needed money. I mean, to be honest with you, I had shut down one of my companies. We moved to Florida. And I needed to figure out another method of making money. Well, people were making money in IT, so I went and did IT. Now, for a while, it was good. I had certifications, I had, status and position, and people were clapping their hands to my status and my position, but I hated it. When I tell you that I hated it, I hated it. I was not happy. So when I had an opportunity to become a sales manager, I jumped at the opportunity. When I had the opportunity to become an instructor, I jumped at the opportunity because I did not like the basic IT work. I don't want to manage your network. I don't want to build your security profiles. I don't want to build your security infrastructure. I don't like doing that. I hate walking into a server room, and server rooms are cold and I don't like the cold, but I don't like those things. So I wasn't happy. And since I wasn't happy, yeah, I come home, I play with my kids, I talk to my wife, but it wasn't as happy as we could have been. We would have been much happier even if I made half of what I was making at that time frame. At least I would have came home happy. At least I would have came home with joy. Came home looking to play and have fun. Came home looking to do things with my family and enjoy our time together. But I wasn't. I wasn't doing that. And mainly because I wasn't happy with what I was doing. Right? So we can't please other people. You have to stop worrying about what other people think, about what other people think you should be doing, what type of relationship you should be in, how you should treat your mate, how you should, breathe. You got to stop worrying about how you dress. Let's look at it from this religious standpoint, because you know what? Yeah, because the thing about it is you have to stop following these traditions and start thinking for yourself. I mentioned in a previous video about a young lady who her family chastises her, been chastising her for years, for decades, about how she dresses. You know, she got all kind of sexy going on, but her family chastises her about her dress. Now, I find that very, very interesting, and we're gonna get deeper into this in a little bit. But I find it very, very interesting that we will chastise a woman about her dress, about how she looks, about the clothes she wears, but we won't do the same to a man. We won't talk about a man outside running with no shirt on. We won't say anything to him. We won't talk about a man in the gym with a little tank top on, with a little tight body shirt on. We won't say anything about that. But let a woman come in there with some Daisy Duke shorts on and she's doing some squats. Now we got something to say. Let us see a woman out and she got cleavage in that little black dress. We got something to say about that. But we won't say anything about a man dressing a certain way, wearing pants that are too tight. I've been in churches where dudes are walking around in the church, pants just too tight. Too tight on their butt, too tight on their front packages y'all showing and everything. It's too tight. We won't say anything about that. We won't talk about that. We'll talk about the chastity of a woman, but we won't talk about that with a man. We won't talk about men coming in there with the shirt with the button down here, down in here like they Miami Vice back in the day, or in some Italian mob movie. We don't talk about that. We won't chastise that man, but we're gonna chastise that woman. Because we're too, and here's the thing about it. That person starts to feel ashamed of themselves. Starts to feel like they're doing something wrong. Starts to feel like their salvation has something to do with the way they dress. Now let's say this family grew up in Hawaii. Are you going to chastise her for wearing a bathing suit? For wearing a bikini? I mean, they beaching all day. They go to the beach. It's part of culture, part of life. You're on an island. You're going to chastise this woman about her dress at that point. You go down to the Caribbean. It's hot. It's hot. You want her to be wearing something all the way up to the neck, down to her wrist, all the way down to the ankle. It's hot. You want her to burn up? You want to walk around stink? It's hot. A person's dress doesn't make the character of the person. But if you allow other people's tradition, other people's thought process to become your opinion of yourself, then you'll forever be in a state of unhappiness. You won't be happy. You won't be able to make yourself happy. And as long as you can't make yourself happy, guess what? You will not find your purpose. You will not be able to walk in your purpose. And even if you do find things that you do like, you won't be able to do it in a capacity where it brings you joy. After a while, you'll be doing it in a capacity just to avoid dealing with the other people who take that happiness away. You'll find yourself overworking in your passion. You'll find yourself spending too much time in your work and in your passion and away from every other aspect of your life because you're trying to avoid those people who are trying to cause you discomfort and cause you not to be happy, when in reality, not that you have to be around those people, but you have to stop caring. You see, you could be at work. It's the work that you love. But then something reminds you of what they say or what they do and how they treat you. They give you a call. And now you find yourself caring about what they thought. Now the rest of your day at work, they've infiltrated your thoughts. They've infiltrated your emotions. So now you're not working as efficiently. Now you're not enjoying those moments that you would normally enjoy at your occupation or at your hobby or whatever it is that you're doing. You can't, you love painting, but these people are giving you so much anger, so much insecurity, so much grief, so much pain that now when you paint that pain. And although you may say that, well, I'm doing this to release my pain, all your paintings represent the pain instead of representing your joy and your happiness for what it is that you do, for what it is, how you spend your life, how you find your purpose, how you interact with other people. So you got to start making yourself happy. Be selfish in that respect. Because I don't want a woman to be with me who does not make herself happy. Because if she's doing things and it's bringing her pain and she's uncomfortable with it and she doesn't like how her life is going, then our life is not going to be well. It's not going to do well together. It won't. It can't. It's an impossibility. So, if you want to find your definiteness of purpose, if you want to find joy in this world, then you have to first start by making yourself happy. Now, if you start doing this, I want to give you another key point, because if you start doing this, then you're going to free yourself from the two biggest issues that keep you down. You're going to free yourself from fear and free yourself from sin. Now, before you go off somewhere, and because I want you to really listen to what I'm saying concerning this one. Now, first we're going to talk about fear. Now, this whole world is set up to keep you in fear. This whole world has been engineered to make sure you are afraid of something. As long as you are afraid of something, then the world system, the religious systems, the monetary system, every system has you. They have you. You are their prisoner. You are on a collar that they can easily pull and choke you and bring you back because they hold a key of fear in you. If you have a fear of hell. Now, regardless of what religion you belong to, each religion teaches that hell is here on earth. It's not some underworld place. It's not some other existence that's beyond here. This is hell. Hell is here in your mind, your perception of this world. There are some people who are walking around this world, and to them, this world is heaven. But to you, this world is hell. There are people who are walking around with a fear of poverty, and as long as they fear that poverty, they continue to attract more poverty to them. And so as long as they remain in poverty, they're fearful of more poverty. So those people are living in fear. There are people who live in fear and shame because they've done what people call a sin. They've committed a sin. They've had sex out of wedlock. When their religion actually teaches that when you have sex, that is wedlock. It is not going down to the courthouse and getting some paperwork. It is not standing in front of a minister, preacher, boat captain, whatever, and getting some paperwork signed and going through some sort of ritual. It is the actual consummation of sex. Every time somebody had sex in every religion, every culture, that was the beginning of marriage. Any sex beyond that was adultery. But there's no such thing as sex out of wedlock. It is either sex or adultery. Well, I guess sex out of wedlock is adultery, so there is sex out of wedlock. But you don't understand what I'm saying. Fact of the matter is that as long as they got you fearful, the biggest fear is fear of the devil, fear of going to hell, fear of what happens on this afterlife. Nobody knows. Nobody has proof that people went to hell. Nobody has proof that anybody went to heaven. When you die, as I said in my last video, if you're a Christian and you say that, oh, well, you know, people have died and they went to heaven and they came back. Well, according to your book in Hebrews, it tells you that if you die, that you only have an appointment with death one time. The Quran is the same. You have an appointment with death one time, you know. So you don't come back from heaven. And if you're Buddhist, you don't come back from heaven. You reincarnate into another entity on this planet until you satisfy your dharma. So you come back, but you did not go to heaven. You did not go to the Buddhist version of heaven. No, you didn't. You didn't go to Samadhi. You're here. You come back here. So no one has went to heaven and have come back. So no one has any proof of that. No one has went to hell. But now all of your books tell you that hell is here. Here. Hell is when you're born into a family and you're being beaten and you're being raped. Hell is when you're born into a family and you starve every day. You can't get food. Hell is when you're born into a situation where you can't find work because you don't agree, or your skin tone, or you're a female, or whatever the reason is. Hell is when every block has been put in front of you to try to stop you from being able to just eat, drink, and be merry. When there's something going on that's trying to prevent you from doing that, that is fear trying to create hell for you on earth. And until you free yourself from that hell, from that fear, you will consistently and continuously live in hell. So one of the ways that they keep you in fear is to perpetuate these ideas of sin on you. Now, although I can go into a whole bunch of different things, I'm going to kind of stick in one area when it comes to sin. I just want to take one area. And I want to take, since it's the biggest one that they utilize to keep you in fear, we want to talk about sex and sin real quick. Now, I know if you're Christian, you're going to go to your Bible, you're going to go, oh, the Bible. If you're Muslim, you're going to go through all that as well in the Quran. But let me lay this on you for a second. Why is it that the first ideas of sin when it comes to sex is about a woman being loose? It's about a woman having sex partners, about a woman having sex with a man, a woman enjoying sex. Why is it that the first idea of sex, sin, it deals with a woman actually having sin? I mean, it would appear that men are afraid of a sexualized woman. Like, we are fearful of that, and since men are fearful of that, then they don't want to deal with it. You know, recently I was in this relationship group, and they were talking about, do you want your woman to have had experience, or do you want a virgin? And I was amazed at how many men said, well, a virgin or maybe one or two partners. Now I'm thinking about that, and most of these guys are 30, 40 years old. Now you know you had more than 3, 4 yourself. You had 5, 6, maybe 10, 12, 20, 30, 40. But yet you want this woman to be somebody who hasn't had that kind of experience. But it's okay for you to have had this kind of experience. You see, the first sexual sin we want to put down a woman. Because like I said, men are afraid of a sexualized woman. It goes against their ego, see, it hurts them as a man. See, they're not certain enough within themselves that they can handle a woman who has experience in sexual activities, so they fear it. So religions have been, and society has been situated to shut down the woman. You think about it, you growing up, it's all right for the young man to go sow his wild oats, but for the young lady, she must stay chaste. That's not right. Now there's in order for this young man to go sow his wild oats, he got to go sow them with some woman, right? I mean, he ain't sowing them by himself, but it's always looked down upon when a woman, is sexualized. But when a man, go sow your wild oats, go conquest, how many notches on your belt? You see, we look at men like that. Even there's a made-up story in the Bible. Yeah, I said it. It's a made-up story. And you're wondering, like, oh, Lord, which made-up story? Now we're going to claim the inerrant word of God. Well, if you were to do your research, then you will find that in John, the book of John 7:53 through 8, around 11, there's the story of the woman who had committed adultery. And they was like, this woman, they brought her to Yeshua and said, this woman not committed adultery. So, what are you going to do? She should be, according to Mosaic law, she should be stoned. You all know this story. And, back then, if a woman had committed adultery, they would bury her waist high, and then everybody would take stones and they pelt the hell out of her until she dies. Now, the first thing you should be asking yourself in this story is, well, where's the dude? She evidently didn't commit this adultery by herself. So where's the guy? You see, if they were going by Mosaic law, let's look at Mosaic law. It says, thou shalt not commit adultery, right? So evidently this woman was married. She had sex with another man. She committed adultery. Or she was, no, she had to be married and had sex with another man, because if she was a virgin girl and she had sex with another man, then that man would just take her on as a second wife or a concubine. So she had to have been married. Now here's the other part. The guy that she had sex with, either he was married as well and committed adultery with a single woman, or he coveted another man's wife, which is also against Mosaic law. So since he coveted another man's wife, he too should have been stoned, right? So where is he in this story? It's kind of convenient, just like in the story of Adam and Eve. Adam is always absent from Eve being, seduced by the serpent, right? So we're always trying to blame the woman. That's the story in those religions, trying to blame the woman. But this story, they bring her up, so you got to ask, where's the woman? And then Yeshua goes through his whole thing of hey lady, you not sin, but he who have not sinned, let him cast the first stone. All right, you've been forgiven. Go and don't sin no more. Is what he says. Now there's nothing that says that the lady didn't go right back and hook up with old dude again. She probably did, but there's nothing to say that. People just assume that she never did again, but we don't know. The story doesn't tell you anything like that. And as I said, the story, because here's the thing. When you study antiquity of these scrolls, these books, these writings, this literature, what you find is that in the Roman version, in the Latin, that this story didn't appear until the 9th century. All right, prior to that, it didn't exist. Wasn't part of your Bible. Sorry. In the 800s, if you was reading the Bible, that wasn't part of it. Well, it just became part of it. So in the 700s, you wouldn't have saw it. Nope, not in the Latin Bible. Wasn't there. So it was added later. There is a version of it that you can find in the Greek version, but that's not until the 5th century, so around the 400s. You have a version of it in the 400s, but it wasn't in the same spot that in the book that it is now. It was at the end of John. So they moved it. First it wasn't there, then they moved it. Then you find in the 2nd century an allusion towards it. Not the story, but just kind of things that kind of centered around it, but wasn't actually it. So it was added. It was written into. It was just like the people try to hang their hat on the fact that Josephus mentioned Jesus. had a little interruption there, but Josephus, you know, he wrote a little something about Jesus as what they claim he did, but it was later proven that that was false, that was added to the Bible, to the War of the Jews in Josephus's writings as the most renowned Jewish historian, because they needed to prove that Jesus existed. And who better than to write it into Josephus Flavius, who was previously Josephus ben Matthias. But that's a whole other story, and if you want to know more about that one, go to my video on the origins of Judaism, Christianity, and Islam, and I talk more extensively about Josephus. Now, back to what we were talking about. We're talking about how to getting yourself free of this fear. You see, that book, that was added. See, that's what I'm saying by following traditions. See, traditions will say that you should just follow something because it was there. But let's look at natural law. Let's look at what God, as you want to call him, or the creator as I call him, and it's not a him, it's just it, right? The creator made us to fit in naturally with everything on this planet. Every animal on this planet fits, all right? Every animal, every tree, every bird, every rock, every stream, everything on this planet fits in a natural order. It does what it knows to do. We call it a tree. We call it, dirt. We call it, dolphins. We call them fish because man has this ability of reasoning and naming things and putting rules and boundaries on things. But you see, a dolphin knows when to migrate and when not to. A dolphin knows when to conceive and when not to. A dolphin knows, it doesn't say, oh, that's this kind of fish, but I only eat that kind of fish. A dolphin only knows to eat. And it doesn't even call it a fish or know it's a fish. It just knows that that is what I eat, right? So everything on the planet has a natural order. Animals that are predators usually have less births than animals that feed the predators, right? There's way more water buffalo running around on the Serengeti than there are lions and tigers and all these. Well, there's no tigers on Serengeti, but there's way more of those, right? Why? Because they have predators. But they eat the grass and they keep the bush from overgrowing, right? So everything has a natural flow. Man has a natural flow, but because we use levels of reasoning, we disrupt that natural flow, right? So what do? We put rules of chastity. We put rules. We put these rules and say if you break these rules, then you're sinning. You're going against these rules. You're breaking the law. You're breaking this. You're breaking that. You're breaking natural law. Well, here's the thing. When you're born, a baby does not have sexual intentions towards a female. Male baby doesn't have natural sexual intentions towards a female. That's why when a baby grabs a woman by the breast or begins to suckle or anything like that, it's not looked upon as sexual because the baby's doing what a baby naturally does, and that's what it knows it's supposed to do. It knows it's supposed to suckle in order to feed itself. It knows when it's uncomfortable to scream out, when it's hungry to scream out, when it's sick to scream out. It knows these things, right? It's a natural thing for it to happen. When a child is growing 6, 7 years old, it doesn't have any ideas or thoughts upon trying to have sexual intercourse with somebody. No, it doesn't. It doesn't. Only time a child does, if they've been watching adults do it, if they've been watching it on television, then they start to develop a behavior because of what they've seen. They begin to learn a behavior, but naturally, they will not gravitate towards that until certain hormones in the body start to be released. So for men, and I don't know if maybe this is just what I grew up with, but we used to say, a boy becomes a man when his sack drops. All right, when his sack drops, he becomes a man because that's when like the testosterone starts firing and other hormones start firing. All of a sudden, that little girl that was just your friend start looking a little better, looking a little different. You develop a natural instinct to like her. A natural instinct to want to mate with her because you are a part of this natural phenomenon of earth, of nature. It's a natural thing, but what do? We demonize something that is natural for us. Now, if you look at the lion doesn't try to mate with the lioness unless she is in heat and is of age. It's a natural thing. Any other time, the lion's not trying to. The lion has control. He's not trying to, impregnate. He's not trying to have sex because he's in control. Now, what we do have is a lack of control because we've been inundated. Our reasoning has said that get it, get it, get it, get it, get it. And trust me, it is to be enjoyed. We are one of the few creatures on the planet that actually enjoys it. But the fact of the matter is, we have the reasonable ability to say when to do it and when not to do it. But yet, we make it a sin, the fact that you have a desire to do it. Now, that made up story says that even if you have the thought of having sex with a woman, then you have sinned. It's trying to control man's ideas of lust. It's not a bad idea, but to say that you sinned because you had a natural thought that you should have, no. I remember the first day, the children, my mother's children, we're divorced now, but my mother's children, the children of my mother, I am saying this so wrong, my children's mother. I remember the first day I saw her. I was sitting in French class. I did not even see her face. I saw her butt sitting down in the chair, a row across, and first chair. I saw that, and I said, who is that? I had the hormones firing. I recognized her beauty. I recognized that I thought she was fine. I am genetically predisposed, like any other man, to recognize the breast of a woman and the hips of a woman because they're natural for birthing and feeding children. It's natural. It is not a sin for me to look at her and say, she fine. It was not a natural, it is not a sin for me to say, I want to carry her books. I want to hug her. I want to show her some affection. It is not a sin for me to have the natural thing that I was created to have concerning this woman. Now, what would have been, it's not unnatural, but what would have been out of place is the fact that the way our society is today, for two high schoolers to involve themselves in intercourse and have a child without the ability to be able to provide for that child, that would have been a problem. You see, in the animal kingdom, the male lion who is lame does not get to mate because he cannot provide protection and can't provide for the family. Well, the female lions do most of the hunting, but he can't provide that protection. The Charlie and Delta male lions, they don't get to mate because they're not alpha lions, and only some beta lions get to mate. But the rest of them don't. They don't. They go off and become rogues, right? Because they are weaker. They can't provide the protection that the female and the family needs. This is found throughout all of the animal kingdom. It is just that as men, as humans, ours is a bit different. Even the most lackluster male can provide, but when you are 15, 16, you have an inability because of the way our society is set to provide for your family. Now, go back 200, 300, 400 years ago. A 16, 17-year-old male would have that ability. It was natural for them to already be out working and providing. So it wasn't crazy for a 16-year-old male to start having a family, or a 17-year-old to start having a family 300, 400 years ago, especially in an agrarian culture. They go out, they get them some land, they start farming. They would then want to have a wife and start popping some kids so that they can have more hands to farm the land and build it up. That was normal for that society, but in today's world, no. Now think about that. So when a 16-year-old dude started having those feelings, it was okay for him to have them for that girl because then they would get married and have a family. But now we're 16, still having those genetic feelings, those hormonal feelings, but because we can't provide, we try to tell people it's a sin. But it's not. It is natural. And if you believe in the creator of the Bible or Islam or whatever, that is the natural thing that your creator, who you call God, who you call Allah, who you call Jesus, who you call Christ, who you call Yahweh, that is the natural thing that they set up. So are you saying that God was wrong? Now, because we've set our own parameters, we now have to say we must put controls in place to keep you from doing that, from doing it. Now, in polygamy countries that practice polygamy, as long as you can provide for all your wives, you can have 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9 wives. It's not a sin. But in a country like America, where it's against the law, then we say it's a sin. Take your pick. World around. Different cultures, different countries, different rules. It's all about your ability to take care of them. Because for you, as a male, it is natural to feel that for a female. And as a female, it is natural for you to look at a male and say, he has broad shoulders. He has a strong disposition. That strong disposition says that he can provide and protect me and my family, me and my children. And that is what a female look like. And if she says that about a man and she's not married to him, it's not a sin. It's natural. Women look for the man who can provide and who can give protection. That's what they look for. That's a natural instinct for a woman. So why are you calling that a sin? It's not a sin. Why are you allowing yourself to feel guilty about it? You shouldn't feel guilty about it. When I see a nice looking woman with good symmetry walking down the street, I don't feel bad at the fact that I said, that's a nice looking woman with good symmetry. She got a nice butt. She got a nice chest. She got pretty hair. I like the way her face is contoured. I don't feel bad about that. Hell, half the time, I may go up to that woman and say, you're a good looking woman. And then I'll move along. Now, if I say you're a good looking woman, and I try to take her and I try to rape her, or I try to find out she's married to another man, and I try to take her and get her and convince her that she should, have sex with me, now I'm doing something wrong, because if we go back to making yourself happy, I'm infringing on the rights of someone else. That is the only time it's wrong. Is when you're infringing on the rights, the privileges, the well-being, the safety of someone else. Any other time, it is not wrong for you to think that way. It is not wrong for you to go take actions that way, as long as you're not hurting someone else. So stop living in this idea of sin, this idea of fear. You are able to be free of these things if you choose to. But if you hold on to these traditions, if you hold on to these lies, these things that have been added to put in place to keep their control over you, you will never find your happiness, and you will never be able to go out there and find your definiteness of purpose so that you can truly find elation in life. You will not find it until you can do that. But you got to free yourself of this fear and this sin, this idea of sin. You got to free yourself. And it's not about not doing things. It's not about denial. When I was a personal trainer, I used to tell my clients, it's not about you never having ice cream or cake. It's about you having it in moderation. It's about you having it with control. It's about you being able to look at a woman and look at a man and have control. And not give in to just hurting people or taking from people or coveting from people. It's about you being able to have control to see it in its proper place and then act on it in its proper manner and time. And if for you that is paper marriage, then that's paper marriage. And I'm not mad at you for that. But if you see another person who decides that, well, we're not going to do this paper thing, but we're going to be together. We committed to just us being together. Or they say, well, hey, look, we just dating. And he dating them 5 other people, and I'm dating 5 other people. If that's what their decision is, and they're happy with that, if all parties are happy with it, then who are you or anyone else to say no? If that's what you're doing in your life, no one should be able to tell you that you are in a bad situation, that you are sinning. Don't allow other people to take away your happiness. Don't give in to other people's traditions. Don't give in to allowing somebody else to decide what is good for you, because the only person who can decide what is good for you is you. So until you free yourself, you will never be yourself. So allow yourself to be yourself so that your greatness can be realized, because greatness is within you. And if you want to find happiness, if you want to find joy, then let go of this fear, let go of these ideas of archaic sin, and just live a life that is pleasing to you. And if you're living a life that's pleasing to you, then you will please everyone around you who is deserving of you being around them, because not everybody is deserving of you being around them. So recognize that your greatness is non-negotiable and that you have to free yourself to be yourself. I hope and I know that this has helped some people out there, and I look forward to you guys sharing this message and spending more time with me. And as we continue to develop, we will continue to grow and support and be one with one another. So y'all have a great day. Free yourself to be yourself. This is your coach, Uncle Renz. Hopefully I've guided you in the right path today. Y'all have a great day and enjoy yourself.